Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Two Fat Guys Talking Football.
New look. I got glasses.
Yeah, that's a huge change.
Yep.
Two fat guys talking football who need haircuts.
And who now see better.
Yeah, good for you though.
Yeah, I can see like perfectly.
Why
It's
no
crazy.
LASIK? Why didn't you go LASIK style?
I didn't have the
Because
money.
you're not my father?
I didn't have the money and lasers scare me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Freaking laser beam. What if they were the Sharks doing your eye surgery? The Sharks from Austin Powers? Or is that a dated reference?
Yeah, it's before my time.
Gosh, how sad is that, folks? That Austin Powers is before his
The
time.
first one is.
Was it?
I know like the second and third, okay.
Those are awful. All right, guys, here we are talking UCLA USC football. John Gold with the Daily News. Sam
Rivalry
Strong-
week.
Rivalry week, yes. Sam Strong, Daily Bruin, and Blair Angulo. Don't call me Blaine Angulo of
Or
ESPNLA.com
Yes.
as our photog.
Behind
as
the
our
camera.
Behind the camera guy.
Yes.
Filling in the last couple weeks admirably for Ryan Menezes.
Yeah, I don't know where Ryan's been. Covering basketball, I guess.
A little disappointed in your roommate, Sam.
A
A little disappointed in your roommate.
The bonfire was last night.
Yes, it was.
It's BSC
It's
week
rivalry
here
week.
on campus. Yeah, you wouldn't know it by talking to anyone on campus, which I
Really?
tweeted about the other day, which got a lot of.
Is
got
the
a lot
vibe
of talk.
pretty low key?
Now, people are more concerned with occupying that little patch of grass outside of the JD Morgan Center than they are with the game.
I mean,
Someone's put a tent on top of the Bruin Bear. That's how.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how.
well, they got to protect it. But, I think what that shows right now is that UCLA really needs a win in this rivalry. Not just for camaraderie, or not camaraderie, that's not the word I need. That's not the word I meant. Not just for,
The city championship.
yeah, not for any of that kind of stuff, but to reinvigorate UCLA in the football department. It goes beyond the team at this point.
And to have a chance at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
I wrote the other day about how my first 2 years here, it was we're playing for pride, we're playing for the city championship, all that kind of stuff. And now they're playing for that and a shot at the Rose Bowl, which has never been the case while I've been here.
Yeah, but obviously with the caveat being, it's not a shot at the Rose Bowl. It's a shot at the Rose
It's
Bowl.
a shot at,
It's a shot at Oregon in Oregon.
It's a shot at a divisional crown.
Yeah, but don't play it up for more than what it really is.
I mean, Rick Neuheisel said something to the effect of, "Say what you want, but we're playing for championship." He's right. I mean, he's never been able to say this game means something outside of bragging rights.
Yeah, he's never been able to say it, but and even though this does, the team is still 6-5. The team is still,
I agree.
A win away from having to play Oregon at Oregon for the Pac-12 championship.
I'm with you.
I just think it's a little much to be like they're playing for the Rose Bowl. Like that's not what they're really doing.
But they could.
Where's this going, Sam?
Anyway, go on.
Where's this going? Let's talk a little bit about 45-6 UCLA's win over Colorado last Saturday at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, it was the first time I actually remember taking my seat at the Rose Bowl and saying they should blow this team out, and then them proceeding to blow the team out, which
Yeah.
I had done 2 weeks in previously with Washington State and San Jose State.
It's funny because one of the things that I get the most heat on, in any given week, is my report card, especially lined up against Scott Wolf because we don't have very similar personalities, and so he's a little more harsh of a grader than I am. But I gave UCLA a pretty healthy dose of A's and an A overall for that win over Colorado because they play San Jose State and they win by what? That was 10?
Yeah.
They play Oregon State and they barely beat Oregon State. They barely beat the teams that they should have throttled.
Washington State.
Washington State's better this year. But, against Colorado, pedal to the metal, score on the first three drives, they score in their last three, and it's a 45-6 isn't just a win. That's a blowout, and they haven't had that, like you're saying.
Your report card looks very dissimilar to my current report card, I guess. I'm more in the C's and D's range. Anyway,
Pick it up,
yeah,
Sam.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think this game, in terms of the second play from scrimmage, they run like a boring play to Jonathan Franklin on the first
7-yard
play.
gain,
and all of a sudden the safeties creep up, and there goes Shaq Evans for 54 yards.
54-yard touchdown.
We keep hearing, well, this is how the pistol's supposed to look. This is how it's supposed to function. And I agree that it looked good and it looked how it ought to look. But I don't know if Colorado is the best barometer for how to judge the pistol against.
No, but I don't think you can judge a team just based on how you beat a Colorado because they didn't play that cleanly. There were a bunch of penalties.
They went over 100 yards in penalties.
Yeah, let's find that. After
It was 9 for 101, I think.
9 for 101, and that comes a week after
before
what?
It was 12 for 91.
Yeah, 96, I want to say it was. And so, what you're kind of seeing is a team that is not perfect, and they weren't perfect against Cal. They weren't perfect against Arizona State. They weren't perfect against Colorado, but they're 3-1 in their last 4 games, and that has them where they are now.
You know who they're going to have to be perfect against? USC.
Yeah, and obviously the big talk this week now with USC coming off a win over Oregon is now Matt Barkley in the Heisman race.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that? Because I happen to think he's an absolute legitimate Heisman contender. 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 3,100 yards. I don't care that he has the best group of receivers since the 1985 Miami Dolphins. He's good and he's playing well.
USC and Stanford have a few like opponents. Yeah. Oregon being obviously the one where the discrepancy is because USC won and Stanford lost to Oregon. Right?
I'm not even paying attention.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say Matt Barkley looked a lot better against a good team, Oregon, than Stanford's Andrew Luck.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing playing against both of these guys right now, against Andrew Luck and Matt Barkley, is they are seeing that head-to-head, judgment. Oklahoma's Landry Jones has fallen off a little bit. Who else is in the mix? Trent Richardson from Alabama fallen off a little bit. The guy from Baylor, Robert Griffin III, I want to say is his name. He's fallen off. He's still in the mix, but almost like when you have 2 sluggers on one team and they take each other's MVP votes. Yeah. I do kind of wonder what's going to happen. If Andrew Luck is going to be hurt right now because of Matt Barkley's surge right now.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to try and break down whether Matt Barkley's going to win the Heisman, but I will say, he obviously had that huge win against Oregon last week, and
was that a good thing for them?
That's what I'm trying to say. Some of the wisdom would say, well, they're going to be on cloud 9 and overlooking UCLA, but to me, I don't think so. It's the last game of the year. They don't have a bowl game to look forward to. This is kind of their bowl game.
That's why I do think UCLA could be in trouble in terms of the mindset battle that you have every year, is because this is, for USC, this is the grand finale. Yeah. Had they beat Oregon in a normal year without the sanctions, had they beat Oregon in week 11, and then had USC and then had a bowl or the new Pac-12 championship, you could kind of see how UCLA's the stuffing in the Oreo there. Especially, obviously, to use an analogy that both you and I understand.
I was already starting into my next point, and then I was like, Oreos? But I think, especially with this game coming at home, SC fans are going to be going, oh, we just beat Oregon, and it's Thanksgiving, and we're playing UCLA. Yeah. Like, we got to get out there and support the Trojans. And as you all know, it didn't go so hot for UCLA the last time they went to the Coliseum, and almost turned into a fight at the end of the game. Yeah.
The touchdown. What are your thoughts on that? You were just a baby back then. I remember that was my first year covering UCLA. Yeah. What happened was in the waning minutes, USC's running down the clock. UCLA coach Rick Neuheisel calls a timeout
after USC took a knee.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even ran the ball. Took a knee.
Yeah, you're right. And then very next play, Matt Barkley over the top for a long touchdown pass.
Damian Williams, I think.
And so
40-something yards.
There are already so many natural. What's the word I'm looking for? There are so many natural reasons for these teams to dislike each other. You have guys who went to high school or played against each other in high school. You have, just the obvious inborn kind of rivalry that you have with any crosstown rivals. But it just seems like over the last few years there have been these little pokes.
Someone getting stabbed last year at the Rose Bowl?
That's a big poke.
Yeah, it's a really big poke.
Yeah, but it just seems like every year, there just seems to be another thing for one of these teams to draw motivation from. Yeah. And what I think we're going to see on Saturday that I think is going to be more interesting about this game is, Rick Neuheisel talks about
the gap closing. All that kind of stuff.
I don't believe that, it's as simple as, well, UCLA, USC's been blowing them out the last couple of years, all that kind of stuff. USC's ranked number 10. You can't deny that the UCLA talent level over the last few years has risen. Yeah. And so I think the talent gap is what Rick Neuheisel was talking about. And I do think that we are going to see 2 teams that are a little bit closer together in terms of that overall team strength. Yeah. And yet USC's offense is so powerful and that passing game is so good that I don't know if UCLA is going to be able to stop that. Real quick, let's break it down. What is UCLA going to need to do against this team to win?
Have to control the line of scrimmage if they want to win. And
can they?
I don't know. USC has a new offensive line, but I think they're good.
Yeah, they're a pretty good offensive line.
They're always going to.
I think they rank in the top. I want to say they either rank in the top 10 or it might be 11th in sacks allowed.
Yeah, and I mean, UCLA's got to neutralize Woods and Lee. quickly, and I don't know if they have the playmakers on defense to do that.
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think either of those things are going to happen. You're picking things that are going to be very difficult. Stopping Marquise Lee and Robert Woods is not just you got to stop them. They're almost impossible to stop. I think UCLA needs to control its own destiny, and what I mean by that is no fumbles and no interceptions.
You got to play mistake-free for sure. Those penalties are killers.
They've had an interception return for a touchdown 2 years ago and a fumble return for a touchdown last year in tight games.
Yeah.
The margin of victory over the last 2 years might be I think it's 14 and 20, so 35 points spread over the last 2 years. However, they were pretty close games until USC kind of started lengthening itself out.
Yeah, well, last year UCLA scored in garbage time.
Yeah, true. But if UCLA can control the football and just not have devastating turnovers, it's one thing, if you're punting from your own 25-yard line and you throw a 60-yard interception and the guy gets down, that's a punt. But they can't have return for touchdowns. They can't have absolute momentum swingers, which is what USC's had the last couple of years.
And if those happen and UCLA gets behind, like I've talked about, it's all over.
Yeah. And we've seen the passing game work. We saw it work last week. Still need to see a little more ingenuity. In the second and third quarters against Colorado, that wasn't a very good offense against an awful Colorado defense.
I don't know if guys like TJ McDonald are going to be so willing to bite on those play fakes either, like Colorado was.
Yeah, but it's going to be a big game.
Huge game.
Last regular season game of the year. Are you sad? You going to miss this?
No, I'll have next year. You too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Two fat guys talking football, always delivering you guys the goods, and we decided we're not calling these episodes, we're calling these servings.
Or helpings.
Or just seconds?
Thirds, fourths.
Well, let's be serious.
Whatever.
Fourths. Guys, speaking of that, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you guys all have a wonderful time with family. John Gold, Daily News, Sam Strong, Daily Bruin, and Blair Angulo, ESPNLA.com. Thanks, guys, so much for watching.